information that I will share with you today is a reflection of my practice areas. It may be a repeat of what you all already know, but my goal is not necessarily to just have a conversation and tell you things to do, but to practice those things and really hone in on why these different components are important and how they play a role in de-escalation. So I'm super, super excited to be here. Thank you all for being here. So let's get going. Oops. Hey, Larry, do you know how to get the poll results to share to you all and not to me? Because I can't figure out how to get it off the screen so that I can do my slides.
I think, Larry, you would just need to close them.
Yep, I did. So you should be good now.
Nope, it's still up, unfortunately. So let's talk about who's all in the room. I'll introduce you all first while Larry closes it. Maybe by that time it'll be closed. I like to know who's here with me, right? You all have an idea of who I am generally in terms of my education, but I like to know who it is that I'm talking to so that I can meet you all where you are as well. So we have some folks in early childhood who about 49% of you are working with children ages 4 to 6. About 78% of you in this space today are working with middle schoolers, so age 6 to 12. And then we have about 27% that work with adults or early adolescents, 12 to 18. Nice. So all of you are working with middle schoolers. Exciting. We have 62% working in the school setting. We have 22% working in the community setting and 49% working in a program setting. Nice, across the board. And then in terms of how long, we have about 20% of you who have been working in this setting for a year or less, 31% between 2 to 5 years, and 51% 5 years or more. Nice. Nice. So we have some experience in the room. I love that. I love that. Nancy, would you like to ask a question?
I never got the poll on my end.
Okay. Thank you for letting us know.
So I work in a child care setting and I do the office work. So I deal with all ages.
Okay.
From newborn to 13. I just wanted to let you know that I'm not ignoring you, but I didn't see the poll. It didn't come up on my end.
Absolutely, Nancy. I appreciate you adding yourself into the room, right? We do not want you to be left out at all. We want to know who's in the room, and you are definitely important. So thank you for sharing who you are and your role and your setting and who you have it or who you connect with through your role.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Larry.
Hey,
Should I relaunch the poll?
Nope, you're good. Oh, absolutely. I think Sonia's saying yes. Sonia, you're saying
yes?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to relaunch the poll.
Yeah, now
it starts it all over though.
Yeah, you know, I hadn't thought about that either.
Thank you guys for being so cooperative. Look at y'all voting again. I love it. As you're voting, when my screen comes up, the first screen that you're going to see is a picture of my family. So I'm going to talk about that while we're waiting, and then I'll show you the picture. But I am the parent of a 16-year-old daughter and an 11-year-old son. So not only am I bringing my experience in terms of my education to this space, I am also bringing my experience in terms of who my children are, parenting, right? Because you have to de-escalate in any situation, in any circumstance. And because you all particularly work with the youth, it's very important to think about what you're doing in terms of how you parent. Not everyone is going to be a parent, and not everyone in this space is a parent, but you had parents and your parents had parents. And so a lot of the reflection and activities and tools that we're going to do together, I would like for you to draw from that context, to open up your mind, to frame it in a way that you are thinking in terms of how you would want to parent your child, how this may impact your parenting, right? Or how you were parented, right? Okay. I think we're ending. We at 82% of people who voted. I'm going to start closing it because I didn't necessarily expect for everyone to participate. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Now, are you able to end the poll, Larry? To close it, I mean. I ended it, but.
Let me know if it goes away.
If I hit stop sharing. Nope, it's still there. Isn't technology so fun?
Kara,
And then,
could you look at your view button on the upper right-hand corner of your screen and maybe change your view? Because we don't see the poll. All I see right now is everybody's face or boxes.
okay. Okay. It doesn't really change. It doesn't do anything when I change my view at all.
It didn't
Oh,
go
I'm
up
so
there.
sorry.
I did see a poll. I did vote.
Yeah, I saw the results
Yes,
for like a
that's
second. There they are. I see them now. I see them
okay. So
now.
there are the results, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if I stop sharing them, they go away on your screen, but not on mine. And
So
it's so big, the box, it covers all of your faces. So
There
is
should
there a
be
box
there
in
should
the
be
upper?
a
Sorry.
red X in the top left corner that you should be able to click to make it go away.
mm-mm,
Or top right?
nope. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all.
I am not able to control it from my end either. And although it has me as host, for some reason, I cannot, when I go to polls and quizzes, it is saying that I cannot control that. So I'm gonna try logging in through
I'm
the to see if I can control.
okay. I'm gonna leave out. We're gonna go old school and say if it ain't
Also,
working, unplug it and plug it back in. I'm gonna leave out and I'm gonna come right back in and see if it goes away.
Cool.
Guys, I am still admitting people into the space with us while we work through these challenges this morning. Thank you for your grace. Hi, Nancy, I see your hand is raised. Or was that from before?
Sorry, that was from before.
Oh,
It's been a day.
Yes, yes.
Sorry
Mhm.
about that.
No, it's quite all right. Shakara is coming back in.
I'm back. Hey, y'all. Did you miss me? Oh, thank you so much. I do apologize for that. Okay. Larry, are you able to launch the PowerPoint now? Or would you like for me to share my screen? Because I think you're still the host.
You should be a co-host. Do you have the ability to share your screen?
Nope. Yes, I do now. Okay. Are you all able to see my screen?
Yes.
Oops. Okay.
Hers.
Oops. Okay. Okay. Now we're back. So this is the screen that I was talking to you about. I don't normally share my credentials, but as I've already stated, I am a therapist and I have a Juris Doctorate. This is a picture of my family. There's a lot. Wait a minute. There's a lot of reasons why I like to incorporate my family when we're talking about topics such as de-escalation, because it is emotionally based. And being able to root your thinking and your processes and connect them to an emotional center allows for us to make deeper connections to the skill, right? Or the tactic. We draw from our emotional center so that we are operating out of empathy and sympathy and humanity. It's difficult to do sometimes because we're naturally taught in society to separate emotions and logic. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But for the sake of this conversation today, I really would like for you to frame it again from the perspective of your family, your children, how you were parented, etc. Okay, so now that we've done the poll, I have an exercise for you guys that I would like to do. I would like for each of you to comment. Somebody wants to get in the room. I think I have to admit them. I would like for you all to go in the chat feature, and we're going to do what is called a waterfall. The waterfall is going to consist of your full name, your favorite color, and your top song on repeat right now. So what song do you put on repeat in the car that's your go-to song right now? So if you all can, and don't send it yet, just type it in the chat. We are all going to send it all at the same time. So if you could type in the chat your full name, your favorite color, and your favorite song on repeat. Give you guys time to fill it in. And then on the count of 3, we are all going to push the send button. And if we do it right, it's going to reflect a waterfall.
One more time, please, while I was trying to think of a song. I can't remember what the first 2 things you wanted.
No doubt about it, Madonna. Your full name, your favorite color, and your song on repeat. Okay, you guys ready? Everybody got it? Okay, Yarnell, I hope I pronounced that right. I see you nodding. Okay, so let's go. 1, 2, 3. Let's see who we got in here. Oh, look at that. Mint green. I love the detail of the color. Teal, purple, blue, pink. Amber, you don't have a favorite song that you listening to right now? What is that about? Purple. I like Usher good too. Come on now, Kay. Brown, teal, whatever's on the radio. Okay. Bethany. All right, let's see what else we got. Light of My Love. Not sure. It's okay if you don't have a favorite song. It's so many you can't pick. I get that. Blue Carnival. Oh, it keeps y'all popping. It's still jumping in here. A lot of people have the favorite color blue and purple. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to ask someone to come unmuted, if you don't mind, and explain why your favorite song is your favorite song right now. Who's brave enough to be vulnerable enough to tell us what's on your mind and your heart? Because music is a great tool.
I can share. Hi, everyone.
Come on,
Sorry,
Shanice.
sorry my camera is off. It's one of those days, but I'm Sharnice Marshall. My favorite color is black, and the song that's on repeat right now is called You For Me. And it's I'm getting married in August, so it is the song that I'm going to walk down the aisle to. So it's just something that I've been kind of meditating on.
But of course, I hear love. I hear love and celebration. Come on and bring that in the room. Anyone else dare to share?
Sure, I will go. My name is Robin Wilson, and I work with Operation Refuge. And the song that's on repeat for me is I Get Joy, and it's by a Christian artist named Coco. And I've been playing that on repeat for the past couple of days. And one of the reasons why I play it is because really, I don't look like what I've been through. And I'm thankful that God has been with me throughout my life. If he wasn't, I wouldn't be where I am.
Come on, testimony. I hear congratulations. I hear progress. I hear celebration. I hear excitement. Come on, Robin, bring that energy into this room. Okay, now I got another question. Who dares to share why their favorite color is what it is?
Yes, I would like to share. Barbara Green here. I'm also with Operation Refuge, and I work with Robin. My favorite color is red, and I love red because it's a color of passion. It's a color that I just get excited about when I see it. You can see it near and far, and it just it evokes a whole vibe, and that's why I love it.
Yes. Come on, energy. Come on, boldness. Come on, crimson. Bring that into this room. I love it. Thank you, Barb. Anybody else?
Well, my color is purple. My name is Kay. I was born in 1954 in February, and that's the color, amethyst.
Purple.
And so 70 years old, I celebrate my birthday, period, with purple.
Looking good, looking good.
Period. Purple.
Point blank, period. That's how that go.
I like that energy. You coming in dominant, clear, concise, bold. Yes, Kay.
Write that down.
Write it down. Write it down. That's who I see. That's what I feel.
Bold, concise.
Okay.
I love purple too. And I feel exactly the same.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Same. That's where I was going.
But I also want to add, I love purple because Prince. Just saying.
Come on, music. You better bring us full circle, Jen. You better bring us full circle about colors and music and how they evoke certain emotions. Come on now. And that's what we're here to do. We're not here just to talk about how to de-escalate your space. We're here to also talk about what you bring to the space, how your energy and your personality and the music that you choose and the colors that bring out certain energies and focus, right? How we can also use those to tap into our skill set. Because de-escalation doesn't always work. Right? How many of us have situations and circumstances where you just could not de-escalate the situation? It was not de-escalatable. Facts. Because there are situations. And there are certain situations that you can't de-escalate. How many of us have a certain situation where we couldn't achieve the goal, but we got somebody else in the room and they were able to do it? Yeah, happens. It's about the whole thing. It's not just about the behavior. It's not just about the environment. It's not just about the goal. It's not just about safety. It's about the whole thing. And so, again, just to reiterate, my goal is for us to have a true, tangible conversation about all of it. What are we bringing into the conversation? What are we bringing into the space? And so at the end, when we begin to, somebody's screen sharing. There you go. Robin, we're going to be all in your business. That's okay. Thank you. But so at the end, when we do our small breakouts, I'm giving you a little teaser. We're going to talk about how we can come up with a strategic plan to address a specific situation using all of the techniques that we have identified. Some that you've brought to the table that you already know, because some of you are experts. You've been doing this for a long time. Some of it will be what we talk about today, maybe from a deeper perspective. I don't know. We'll see. Thank you guys so much. It's so cool to meet you guys. It's exciting for me to meet people. Can you guys tell that I'm a people person? I love it. I love learning about people. It's so much fun. Okay. Let's get back to the PowerPoint now. Okay. There's my slide. Nice to meet you. I kind of talk a little fast. Okay, so sometimes I find it beneficial to establish agreements. When you are in spaces, effective communication involves establishing boundaries and rules, which is a tactic that we use in de-escalation. It's not a first tactic, it's an end tactic. And you always don't get to the part where you're able to make agreements and problem solve. But today I would like to start off by just establishing some things that are important for us to continue to have a very good, deep conversation where we can walk away feeling seen, heard, and valued. There are 10 of them. The first one is to cultivate presence and warmth. It is so important to create your presence and your warmth, to cultivate that. How do we do that? By talking, by sharing, by volunteering, right? By being present, using your emojis, right? I kind of already ushered us into that. The second thing, mastering the art of deep listening. Number 3, respecting boundaries and invitations. Number 4, focus on understanding, not fixing. Number 5, suspend judgment for openness. Number 6, uncover assumptions for awareness. Number 7, encourage authentic expression. Number 8, value the power of silence. Number 9, my letters too, I'm all on the screen. Uphold confidentiality and trust. And number 10, embrace wonder in challenge. Now, as you heard me read those, what kind of stood out for you? Which one of the 10 kind of perked up your ears a little bit to say, Anyone?
I think the suspending judgment, or wait, the focus on understanding, not fixing, is wildly important and wildly difficult because we're programmed, I think, as people, and especially as leaders in a youth-centric space, to want to say, here's a solution. I'm sorry that this is hard. And instead, like, the solution can often be found just by listening and listening a little bit longer and understanding a backstory. So that one jumped out at me.
Can I share? You better present this information, Emily. Do you want to take over? Because you just hit the nail on the head.
No, you are wonderful.
Thank you for sharing. I heard another voice, please.
Yeah, I was talking, Vicky Ivasick here. Yeah. Sometimes uphold confidentiality and trust. I think that stands out for me a lot because if you work with females, we have a very tendency of the juicy stuff. And when somebody opens up to you and it confides you certain information, then you kind of value that, right? When you spread what you have heard from somebody's viewpoint, then you are breaking that trust with somebody who confides you certain information. So I think that it should be one of the core values for everyone. Whatever you heard, do not repeat, do not add. Just keep it and don't break anybody's trust.
Come on, Vicky. Let's talk about it. Anyone else have one that they are wanting to share? I'll take two more.
This is Vicky Parker.
Sorry.
Hi, Vicky.
Hi.
Thank you. Yes, sorry about that. Yes, thank you.
No, Master of Art of Deep Listening is for me because we seem to look at the surface of thing and not understanding that it's the root cause of the issues that he or she may be dealing with. So Master of Art and Deep Listening is for me.
Yes, just listening. I love that. Who else did I hear?
I'll share. Mahalika from Developing Kids. Number 4.
Yeah.
I do strive to understand, but I also strive to fix.
Yeah.
And,
okay. Transparency.
Yes, I'm trying to be honest. And so, but the way that this is structured or worded, focus on understanding and not fixing, because a lot of times people just want to be heard, and they usually can work out their situation if you just listen. So number 4 stuck out to me, understanding with listening and not try to fix it, because they usually can work it out themselves.
Come on now. I'm going to ask you to pronounce your name one more time so I can hear phonetically.
Mahalika.
Mahalika.
Lika.
Mahalika.
Yes.
Mahalika.
Perfect.
Ms. Shakara, can I expound on what she just said? Because this was an aha just then, because I've been working on this. Focus on understanding and not fixing, because other than that, my fixing becomes enabling. So I'm trying to back up.
I want to say, talk to us some more about that, but this ain't therapy. Woo! I got to reel it in, honey. You better talk to us. Anybody else?
I'll share.
It's just one more. I think it's one more.
I'll share. So number 3 stood out to me just because I had a situation just yesterday. So this is right on time. So number 3 is respect boundaries and invitations. The reason I say that is because we have students who are clearly distraught, right? They break down and, they're crying but they're not ready to talk, right? So making sure that as someone who truly and deeply cares about my kids, I want to ask them, like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, hey, just tell me. But you have to respect their boundaries and be ready for the invitation and let them know, hey, when you're ready to talk, I'm here. And being able to just step back, because I think as natural nurturers, we all want to fix, right? We all want to, we know clearly something is wrong with you and you're like, nothing. But being able to just step back and respect those boundaries, that stands out to me.
Oh, you know what? I think it's over with. I think the whole day is just done. You all have single-handedly addressed every tactic that I have to plan to present. Jasper, come on, girl. You've been waiting so long.
Hi. Yeah, my name's Jasper, and I really perked up at embrace wonder and challenge. I think it takes, like, in a high stress situation, I think we in turn become stressed, and it takes a lot of practice and breathing to stay relaxed and to stay curious. And I think it kind of weaves into the ability to listen and the ability to understand and be quiet and be present is how you can stay relaxed and be like, I wonder what could like equate of the situation, or I wonder what could happen. And that's hard. That's really hard. So that kind of the way that was worded was really beautiful.
Thank you. And the way that you just unfolded it was even more beautiful, right? The way that you just pulled the petals down one at a time to talk about not only the beauty of it, but also the difficulty, right? Of being able to self-regulate. Because that's what that is, right? The ability to self-regulate your own emotions and your own ego to yield into a space that you don't know, that taps into your creativity and your imagination, which is a total different part of your brain, right? Delilah, last one. I hope I said it right.
Yep, you did.
Please correct me if I don't. Okay.
You said it right. The power of value the power of silence is what stood out the most to me. And I think that over the years, I've learned that words don't always need to be said. Sometimes you just need to shut up and listen. And sometimes it's like, sometimes people just, they can get healing just being in your presence. It's not always sometimes something that needs to be said. Like someone else said, sometimes they're not ready to talk, but they just want to be near you and be around you. And that presence lets them know that you care and that you're understanding, and it can de-escalate some things. But also I feel like with silence, it would help a lot of these things, because like when we're trying to overstep the boundaries of helping them and doing all those things, excuse me, sometimes again, you just need to be quiet and you need to fully listen and take in what that person is saying. You don't always have to talk or say anything.
Come on now. Silence is the key. Silent is the lamb. Does that ring a bell to anybody? Silence is the lamb? No? Okay, don't worry about it. I got an internal humor that's just only for me sometimes, so I'm going to take that. But I appreciate the leaning into silence, right? Because most of the time when there is silence, you feel like there's a lack of progress. There's a lack of connection. But that doesn't mean that, right? So moving beyond the mere play of words. Ooh, that was so good. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you all coming into the space. You are bringing your insights, your truths, your vulnerabilities, your weaknesses, and your strengths. And that's how we work together to cultivate the tactics that we need to go into our separate spaces to do good work. We are connected from an emotional perspective. Katia, I see your hand.
Can you hear me?
Did I miss you?
Nope, I just raised it. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, awesome. So I was listening to you guys talking about the silence part, and I just wanted to mention that sometimes silence is good, but sometimes it's also bad, because I know me in my personal relationships, I use stonewalling as a defense mechanism. If I'm in a conversation and I feel like I'm being attacked, or it's just something that I don't want to talk about, or I feel like my words might be harmful to the person I'm talking to, I would choose to be silent versus talking to them. So that's something I have to work on in my personal relationships. But I also, just listening to everyone saying being silent, silence can be good and it can be bad. So you have to really pay attention to the children and even coworkers or whatever when you're in those situations, and kind of gauge, is this silence defensiveness, or is this like, you know, you have to gauge and see what kind of silence it is.
To identify, right, to still be able to engage. What is this behavior? Is this at all?
Hey, Shakara, your audio, your connection is breaking up.
Can somebody give me your hands? Better.
You're still choppy.
Yeah.
Second. Now let's see if my audio gets better here still.
That's good right
And
there.
somebody give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. Good. Okay, so what I look like.
No, it's
My
still,
face brings a lot of energy,
it's still
boo.
bad.
Try to get through this. Oh. Better. Okay, are we better?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Better.
Better now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So make sure you guys can still hear me. Please let me know if the audio goes out, because I can't see you when I screen share. But we kind of already talked about de-escalation and kind of what it looks like. But let's define what it means to de-escalate. And in my research, I discovered that there are multiple definitions for the word de-escalate depending upon which field you are working in. But good old regular Google tells us that to escalate means to rapidly increase. The synonym D, right, means the opposite of what comes after the D. And so naturally, decrease, the rapid increase. So the term de-escalate in and of itself isn't necessarily about a particular thing, which is why there are so many different definitions of the word per the practice. If I were a police officer, if I were in the Army, right? If I were in active combat, my definition of what it means to de-escalate is very different than it is for a person in a school setting. But ultimately, the goal is to cause something to decrease rapidly. Kind of weird, huh? Because when we talk about de-escalation, when we're going to talk about it, we're going to say to sometimes come back and try again. That it takes multiple attempts. That sometimes pausing and doing it the next day is using discernment. So how does that work? How do we rapidly decrease the emotion or the conflict or the fear and take our time? Kind of difficult to do. But that's the goal. To move the needle just a little bit. And as folks have already shared, using that silence sometimes means that we're making progress. Giving them a safe space to just share, them wanting to remain close and near to you. Those are all signs of the rapid decrease that can happen. It doesn't mean to solve the problem. It doesn't mean to fix it. It doesn't mean to understand it. It simply means to move the needle down. What can you do to cause a slight change, a slight decrease? And what has been a rapid increase? Does that make sense? Okay. So in your particular fields, has it been difficult for you to define what de-escalation is? What it looks like? In your particular setting? Has anyone struggled to define it? Is it about safety? Is it about crisis intervention? Is it about calming the emotion? Is it about resolving the conflict? Has anybody really struggled to hone in on what does it mean to de-escalate in my setting? I know I did.
I was going to say, I don't know that I've actually struggled that hard because I've been doing this forever, but yeah, the kids I have nowadays, it's rough because you know, they form their own little groups, which has happened forever. I mean, I graduated high school 35 years ago. So but you know, I don't know, it's just rough.
It is. As the generations change, the approach, the tactics, the culture, the relationship, and the rapport also changes, which causes a difficulty or a challenge. Because one of the main parts of de-escalation is being able to relate and connect. So I hear you. Anyone else find it difficult to really hone in on what de-escalation is and what it looks like?
Hey, Shakar, you have two people with their hands raised. One is Cassandra, one is Emily.
Go ahead, Cassandra. Thank you, Larry.
I guess for me, because I've been doing this, I guess 5 years, it depends on the child. Sometimes it's more about safety because, you know, like that kid might do something to hurt themselves or others. And sometimes it's more like, oh, understanding because they're not really able to express themselves per se. And I currently work with 8-year-old, well, 7-year-olds to 10-year-olds. 3rd to 5th grade. So it all depends on their age and how they themselves respond. So it can be kind of difficult.
Absolutely. Age development, all of those factors, emotional development, communication skills, all of those different components cause a challenge sometimes in our ability to de-escalate certain situations in certain children. Absolutely. Someone else had their hand up?
I had mine up, but mine was more of a the struggle to approach it, not so much definition. So I don't know if we're gonna get into that later, but I don't need to segue if
Tell
I
me,
don't throw anything off.
yeah, tell me more about what you mean by that. Absolutely.
So we work with middle schoolers at Lyft, and I think sometimes the tricky part is finding the balance and giving the kids the uninterrupted like dedication to from the point of, hey, this is happening to getting it resolved. So are you staying within the line of sight of an adult, but still giving that student, the privacy? And are other students trying to check in on their friend and, kind of infringing on the policy? Or if you leave the room, are you the only staff person and now it's only volunteers remaining with the rest of them? So I think that's just kind of the approach piece of how to balance all of those things while still being able to resolve and let that student feel like, okay, I was able to make some progress.
Absolutely. Environmental factors matter. 100%. How many children? Am I the only adult? Because I can't monitor the other folks and provide my undivided, deep, active listening to this situation and circumstance. And that does cause it to be difficult. When you have friends, all those social important aspects that we're going to talk about, right, that come into play. How do we yield into those? And sometimes how do we set up parameters, right? I like that you're being honest in the approach. How do I start? Where do I start? What is the most important piece? And also, what is my capacity? I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. I didn't miss anybody, did I? Did I miss any hands?
Shakara, you've not missed any hands, but if I could acknowledge some of the great information that's being put in the chat.
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely. So Mahalaika, she mentioned, yes, but I believe it depends on the environment and parties involved. When we use group norms and icebreakers and build infinity, it can be managed better. And then going into Miss Amy, she mentioned in the beginning years, yes, I'm a pro now, but it can be challenging at times. It's a lot of factors to consider. Amber went on to say, even if they have to write out the problem, that could help, because sometimes it's a challenge to say things face to face with some young people. Rachel is our last person who put something in, and she says, with staff, sometimes we have to work through that de-escalation. Doesn't mean shutting down or controlling youth. We have to remind that it's natural for youth to struggle, and we have to model, co-regulate, and help them find coping skills to resolve conflict, to calm down, resolve conflict, and move forward in a safe manner. We found our adult staff and parents, guardians having trouble with their own de-escalation these days too. So we've been working on providing coping skills for them too.
Thank you so much for reading those.
Yes,
Angela, I see your hand.
Yes, and one thing I noticed is hard too is the home environment. When they come to me, I'm like the classroom and everything's set in a certain way, but when they're at home, they do something different. So it's kind of hard to adjust the in between, because they're so set in their ways at home that when you have them and they don't want to do it your way or how you like, because I do childcare in my house, so I have children coming to me, and when they get to my house it's set a certain way, but then it's like, well, I don't do that at home, or my mom don't want me to do that at home. It is kind of different, and it's like having to talk to, it can escalate to different things and cause, you know, them to get upset. And that's what I noticed. It's just kind of hard to bring them back down, you know. And then I see it like with teenagers when they go to school. It's like, well, my mom said I can do this. And it's like, no, your teacher said you can't do that. And it's kind of, because I work with all ages. I have teenagers coming to me and younger kids. So it's kind of just, I think it's more of the home environment and how they're taught or what they're not taught at home compared to when they come to a school setting, a daycare setting. I think that's what's hard to de-escalate when it comes down to it.
Absolutely, Angela. I hear that it is difficult when you are addressing things that were pre-established before you got into the picture. Because children are coming with baggage. They are human beings too, right? And that's difficult to navigate those things. And how do you combat culture? Because that's what I hear you talking about. Your home environment is your culture. Children are a makeup of their environment. And that poses a challenge when what is healthy and what is right and what is safe counters what they know to be true. Thank you for sharing. Did I miss anybody? Okay. Now I put this slide here for a reason. During my research, I found that 7.8 million children in the United States of America participate in an out-of-school time program. 7.8 million children. That is a lot of children. So when we talk about impacts in home environment, is it better now?
Yes.
Okay, good. So when we talk about the impact that we have on the home environment, on teaching emotional regulation, on helping students to learn how to calm down, resolve conflict, understand their emotions, you all have the impact to change 7.8 million people. That is a lot of people. And if we talk about the history of it, de-escalation as a technique did not become well known until 2015. Prior to that, really all we knew about de-escalating related to military and active combat. So we're talking 9 years of real tangible research and case studies and understanding of how we can get folks to decrease their emotion or behavior. Not that long. So when I hear you all talk about it was easy at the beginning, now it's a little bit more difficult, I understand that. That may be a reflection of the times. That may be a reflection of history. That may be a reflection of culture and change. But what you provide to a student through using de-escalation tactics, it matters so much. You are teaching them integrity. You are showing them accountability. You are growing their brain power. You are showing them working memory, responsibility, how to seek clarity, how to agree with others. De-escalation tactics build leadership skills, emotional intelligence and development, emotional validation, empathy, sympathy, and of course, self-regulation and control. And so being able to establish these core character values at an early age matters tremendously. How we doing so far? I'm checking back in. Doing good? Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Shonda, can I ask a question real quick?
Yes, you may.
Just wondering if we're gonna get into, and I'm sure you probably have thought of this, but how about our kids that are such besties that they just can't stop talking to each other and they can't get, you know what I mean? They can't like focus on anything we're doing in our collective group.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I hear you saying is that the behavior is connected to the social connection.
Yeah, absolutely. And
and it becomes a distraction
yeah, and
because you're not able to get the necessary tasks completed in the group, right?
right, yeah, and that's my biggest struggle, honestly.
Yeah.
90% of my kids get along.
Yeah.
And they get along too well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, I need to de-escalate this, but you don't want to, I guess you don't want to like say, hey, no, you can't be friends. But, but, it's also, it makes me crazy.
Understood. Understood. It's very difficult when you are clashing against those developmental milestones, right? When
Right.
you are trying to get someone to behave in a way and they don't want to.
Right. Yeah. And that's exactly
It's
it.
hard. That's difficult. So, of course, we are going to talk about that. And Jen, I want to thank you for sharing your vulnerability and one of the struggles that you have in particular as it relates to your program, right? Because we all have our own individual struggles. And so as we continue to move forward, because we're going to talk about development and we're going to talk about how things are naturally happening and how we go along with the tide. We don't chop up the tide. We get on our skis and we ride the wave of the development because it helps us to get there faster, right?
Oh, absolutely.
The trick to de-escalation is just to move the needle.
Yep.
It's not to solve the problem. It's not to fix it. It's not even to understand it. It's beyond the mere words. It is to change it a little bit, right? And it might be, Jen,
that's right.
to keep the situation from blowing up even further, right? That is a de-escalation tactic.
Okay, I love
It
that.
doesn't continue to increase, right? Because escalation is the rapid increase. So maybe I can't decrease the amount of time and social connections that my crew has because they just like that.
Yeah.
But can I prevent it from moving forward, from increasing more?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that. Thank
That
you.
sound good?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Tell me. Talk to me now. We're going to figure it out together. We're in this together.
Yep. Nope. I love it. Thank you.
You are so welcome. So I put this this quote on here because I like that it kind of gets at both, right? You need two people to participate. You need participation, period, in order for there to be a conflict, in order for there to be escalation. It generally requires the participation of both parties. So again, as we continue to look at the de-escalation tactics that we use, what role are we playing? How are we impacting and influencing the escalation, right? Have we addressed our own bias, right? Have we leaned into fixing and not understanding? Are we anxious? Are we afraid? Are we concerned and confused? And the emotions that we elicit are transferring into the situation and the equation. Are we trying to control? Are we demanding? Are we telling? Are we lecturing? Or are we listening? Are we taking the time to create that safe space? Or are we moving so fast that we can't give it the proper attention and time that it needs? Are we listening to the emotions, or are we responding and reacting to the words that are being said? Jen so graciously, and a couple of you, ushered us into the development piece and how it matters. At every stage of development, there are tasks that are being developed. So when we talk about a child's ability to articulate and communicate and express their feelings, right? That is a task that is being developed. When we talk about those social connections, when we talk about rebellion, a task that is being developed. So understanding what is going on inside of the child or the person that is impacting their ability to regulate is so important. Because if you can ride with the tide, you can increase your output. How do we expect for a child to express or communicate how they feel if they have not yet learned the various emotions? They can't. Emotions are something that naturally happen. We have no control over it. When you are born, you cry. You feel pain, you scream, you hyperventilate, you experience anxiety, even as an infant, because emotions are a natural reaction. They're automatic. So when you put that into context with the children that you serve, it's true to believe that they are acting in a way that they can't control, that they are not aware of, that they don't understand. And it is our role to help them to understand what the emotion means. Let's name it. Let's identify it. Let's talk about anger. History tells us to separate logic and emotion, that the two are not supposed to commingle with one another. And the most effective way for you to de-escalate a situation is to remove the emotion and to talk clear and concise and direct. Well, if that's true, how do we learn emotional intelligence? How do we learn emotional competency? How do we learn sympathy and empathy? Because empathy is being able to yield to and feel and sense the emotions of others. So if through your de-escalation tactics, you are not focusing on the emotion, and how the emotion is impacting the child's ability to remain calm, then you are solving the problem. You're not understanding, you're not fixing, and you're not teaching either. You are showing them that you are merely reacting out of their expression of emotion. And isn't that kind of what we see as a trend? Reactionary. I do something, you react. Instant gratification. I throw a tantrum, I scream, I threaten. It's the behavior that I'm acting out of as a means to gain what it is that I want. Yeah. And unfortunately, because we didn't understand, we have pushed the needle backwards. We have removed the emotional part, which creates a gap. Because once you're high and you're overacting and your brain is in fight or flight, you cannot clearly think. You can't clearly problem solve. You can't even clearly understand what it is that you need in order to feel safe. I don't want to mess up your name. I see your hand up. Your last name is Greenwood. Ariana?
Elena.
Say it again.
Elena.
Elena?
Elena.
Irena.
Yep.
Irena.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
yes. It's spelled just like that. Thank you. Irena. Go ahead.
So I had a comment on the other slide. I noticed you bringing up empathy and sympathy.
Yes.
And in social work, we learn that we need to use empathy more than sympathy because sympathy doesn't really connect. Or when you use sympathy to try and connect, you're kind of making the situation, you can make the situation more bad or worse. You know what I mean? And you're not able to connect. You also, with empathy, you need to be able to understand what they're saying and be able to repeat it back to them, in a rephrasing way in order to try and help them get clarity and whatnot. So I guess it really resonated with me when I seen that.
Absolutely, Irena. I appreciate you saying that because you're absolutely accurate. You're absolutely accurate. Yes. Okay. So during these different ages and stages of development is what we call them, right? Depending on what age group you are working with, there are certain tasks that are being developed, right? Ages 2 to 4, between 2 and 4. Okay, so now that kind of hones in on there's a range, right? Earlier we kind of talked about it depends on where the child is. So a child can be in the same grade together, but be on a total different developmental track in terms of the development of their task, right? But between 2 and 4, we're learning early moral development. So those characteristic traits that we just kind of talked about in the previous slide. Self-theory. Who am I? What is it about me? Why am I important? How do I fit into this world? We learn about the importance of playing with peers. We learn and develop the task of peer play. In the second stage, friendships are developing. Concrete operations are developing. Skills, right? Important skills like cognitive thinking, reasoning, dependence, interdependence, right? problem solving, all those concrete operations that are so important to our ability to regulate our emotions are developing, which means they're not in place. Self-evaluation, that's a huge one, right? Being able to see yourself in the role that you play in any given situation. And then in those high school years, being members in a peer group, emotional development. Isn't it ironic that emotional development is in that last stage of development? I always feel like that kind of stands out to me because we are expecting for children to be emotionally developed in a certain capacity, in a certain way in those early years. But that task hasn't been triggered yet. Interesting, isn't it? I thought so. Yes, Delilah.
I'm actually surprised that the emotional development is at 12 to 18 because that during that age, your emotions are all over the place and it's not developed there either. I would think it would be at over 18.
Absolutely. Agreed. Which is why it's developing, right? It's a spectrum over the years. So if you compare somebody that's 12 to someone who's 18, you would expect that there would be some development in their emotions, right? There's a difference. But as we've already kind of addressed, that home environment matters, right? Emotions are taught. So who is teaching you? Who is telling you? Who is helping you to understand and label your emotions so that when you get to that middle school age and puberty is kicking in full-fledged and stuff is sparking all over the place and you don't have any control over what is happening inside of you, you have language. You can identify it because when I was 4 and when I was 6, I remember being angry. And when I was angry, when little Tommy kicked me, it was really because I was embarrassed that everybody laughed at me and I don't like to be embarrassed. There's that memory that's in that cognition through the repetition. So don't lose faith, right? If you're working with children who are under 12, you in the thick of it because you are teaching. You're understanding. You're laying the foundation. They don't got it. Okay. I really want to get to our practice. Okay. Sonia, let's see. Do you guys need a break? Want to take a break? I know we kind of started late. We had some glitches. No breaks? Everybody okay to move forward? You can put an emoji up. You can put a thumbs up. If you need a potty break, go take a potty. If you need coffee, go get it. Take care of yourself. We'll keep moving forward. Okay. Now, we've already kind of dug a ditch, right, about how important emotions are and how important it is to, I think we should, wait a minute, I just caught a comment. Sonia, am I missing any comments in here? I'm trying to flip back and forth between the slides. Please catch me if I miss something. I'm sorry. It's not intentional.
No, there are some comments in the chat box. I can read a few of them.
If you don't mind, thank you.
Everyone agrees. No break, definitely that. Jay Beard says, I think we should think of this as age 6 to 12 are emotional learning, as in learning how to identify the emotion. Without validation and learning of an emotion, we will not be able to develop the ability to regulate.
Yes, snaps. Any more?
No, we're
Just
all
that
good.
one? Okay, good. Okay, good. You're absolutely accurate. You're absolutely accurate. So let's go back to that time period. What emotions do you know? We all just got top 5. Anger, fear, excitement, embarrassment, and guilt. I put guilt and shame together. They run like kissing cousins. I call them kissing cousins. Those are merely our top 5 emotions that we kind of operate out of, right? But as we all know, those emotions are only the top of the iceberg, right? There are root causes to the emotion. And so when we think about de-escalation, why do we say don't listen to the words, listen for the emotion? Is because you can help someone to get down to the root directly without mincing words. Because then it's a fight, right? It's a fight, a play on words. How many of us have had that? You go back and forth with a 7-year-old who is very literal, and they just take you around and around with the play on words. Not fun. Not fun at all. So listen for those emotions. I have developed 9 key emotions that are important for us to help children to understand. Not 5, but 9. Anger, fear, anxiety, disgust, feeling unloved, guilt and shame. Remember our kissing cousins. Grief and humiliation. I'm going to repeat them again. Anger, fear, anxiety, disgust, feeling unloved, guilt, shame, grief, and humiliation. Why are those the key emotions to draw from? Because they are the clearest. When I'm disgusted by something, there is a physical manifestation that connects with the emotion, which causes it to be easier to both identify and teach. Anger has a physical manifestation to it that allows it to be easier for me to connect the emotion to the word. Anxiety, physical manifestation. The new one is feeling unloved. That was a new one. That came kind of through my therapy. Right? The number of folks that I would see who were describing this feeling of emotional invalidation. That manifests itself in anger, rejection, sadness, but essentially it was rooted in a feeling of not being loved. So we got an exercise to do. Okay. I got a couple videos or ads, I guess. They're sales ads, advertisements. And I'm going to play the ad. You can watch the ad if you want, or you can close your eyes and just listen to the ad. But the goal is to ignore all the words that are being said and identify each emotion that you feel that is being elicited throughout this ad. Okay? That sound good? You guys need me to repeat it again, the instructions? Going once, going twice, 3 times. Let's go.
Someone asked to repeat it.
Oh. Go ahead. Somebody asked me to repeat it?
Yes.
Okay. The exercise, I'm going to play an advertisement. The goal of the advertisement is to ignore all of the words that you hear and listen for the emotions, because it's plural, they're going to be multiple. The emotions that you feel and hear that are being elicited through this advertisement. Okay? And list those. You can watch the video if you want, or you can close your eyes and just merely listen. It doesn't matter to me. Oops. Are you guys able to see in here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
Yes.
เขาจะได้อะไร ถ้าเขาทำแบบนี้ทุกวัน เขาจะไม่ได้อะไรเลย ไม่ได้รวยขึ้น ไม่ได้ออกทีวี ไม่มีใครรู้จัก ไม่ได้มีชื่อเสียงที่มากขึ้น เพราะสิ่งที่เขาได้ คือได้แค่ความรู้สึก ได้เห็นความสุข ได้เข้าใจ ได้ความรัก ได้ในสิ่งที่เงินซื้อไม่ได้ ได้โลกที่สวยงามกว่าเดิม ในชีวิตคุณ อะไรคือสิ่งที่คุณต้องการมากที่สุด
Okay. How'd everybody feel? How's the video? A lot of emotions. A lot of emotions. Anybody care to share what emotions? Well, first I wanna ask, was it difficult for you to ignore the words? I put it in Chinese for a reason, so you wouldn't even get caught. But were you still looking for the words? Did you read the words at the bottom? Was it difficult for you to ignore the words?
No, because I closed my eyes like you told me to.
Okay, good. You cut off stimuli. You didn't even give yourself a chance to be tempted. Okay, and through listening, Jen, I want you to say, if I can use you for an example, closing your eyes, was it difficult for you to keep them closed?
No, not really.
Okay. And so what did you hear as your eyes were closed?
I heard happy, then sad. then happy again.
Mm-hmm.
It
Okay,
started
so
music
no watching.
because there was no there were no words. So
Mm-hmm.
as far as I know.
Mm-hmm. But you still had the ability to feel and pick up on two emotions, sadness and happiness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Okay, anyone else? Was it difficult to ignore the words?
I looked at the words. I had
You
to
did?
remind myself not to. I didn't mean to. And then I was like, oh, what's going on? Oh, yeah. I looked at the words.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Thank you for being honest, Rachel. It is difficult to ignore the words, for sure. And then you just refocus. Anyone else?
So I attempted to close my eyes, and then sort of after I found myself opening them to see if what I was feeling was confirmed by the words. It was
Come
weird.
on, Sydney. Come on, Sydney. You better come in the room. Yes. There was a conflict. Go ahead, Cassandra.
I already know the ad. So I watched this, so I know all the words. So personally, I was like, this is cheating. So
So
I already
you got
know
some
how to feel
experience.
through this ad. Like I've cried the first time. I was like, oh, like, because like even the songs, it goes through the whole process of him carrying him, feeling happy and everything, and then all of a sudden you're just like, what happened? Because it's all somber, and then it's just like, oh wait, something happened that's good. So it's just later on. Yeah.
Thank you, Cassandra. What emotions did you hear or did you recognize, Cassandra? Can you name a few?
For me, it was like for the first time or like for like right now. Cause
Sure, either one. It doesn't matter.
For the first time, I was like, oh, this like it's very happy, upbeat, and then it's just, oh no, this is sad. And then it gets happy and exciting again, like a roller coaster.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
Yeah, Shakara, I listened to it with my eyes closed. And at the beginning, with the music, there was sort of a feeling of expectation, and I heard like running water in the background at one point, and the music was really, kind of somber like. And I heard laughing in the background, and then in the end, it was pretty calm. And then towards the end, I had a feeling that there was a lot of passion going on, that there was a lot of love going on. And at that point, I couldn't keep my eyes closed any longer. I had to see what was going on. And I saw the man and the little girl. And then I closed my eyes again, and I could hear outdoor like nature sounds. So I just got the overwhelming feeling that something very touching and very passionate was going on.
Yes. Thank you, Barb. You brought in the environmental pieces, the background noise, right? The water. What does water sound like to us? And when we hear water, what emotion is elicited, right? How do we feel passion? Where does it come from? Right? How does music soothe us, right? Hype us up, bring us down, right? With the slightest changes in the key. And how do we adjust physiologically through the different emotional changes, right? Thank you, Barb. Anyone else? One more.
I felt hopeful. The soundtrack to me was consistently a sound of hope.
And what does hope sound like?
That any minute things can turn out fine, even if it doesn't feel that way. You keep optimism.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how we can use music to channel certain emotions, to help to change an emotion, to bring it up or to bring it down, to slow it down, to calm and ease, right? It is a de-escalation tactic. Music moves us. And we can talk about the emotion that we physiologically feel as a result of certain things, right? Absolutely. Now, I'm not surprised that it was hard for you guys not to hear the words. That was like the whole point. Because words matter to us. Words give meaning. We are taught early. Use your words. Use your words. What are you saying? Well, I don't know what that means. You have to tell me. But what if I don't have the words? We have to develop the cognition to go beyond the words that are said or not said and focus on the emotion. What is it that you're trying to tell me? What is it that you're really saying? Yes. And sometimes that requires for us to guess. You angry. You're upset. You're frustrated. You feel unloved. And we don't like to be guessing how people feel. We want them to tell us so we can get it right. Or listen for key words that kind of lead us to a specific emotion. But there are a lot of times where there are no words, there aren't keywords. And the most important part of de-escalation is to identify the emotion. Because then you are understanding that person, right? There's that perk up of, oh, I'm being listened to. I'm getting the attention, right? Maybe not exactly what I was aiming for, but you understand me. And that's de-escalation. If you can get to understanding, not fixing, understanding, you successfully de-escalated a situation. But you have to remove your ego. There's that word. It's not about you. It's not about your comfort. It's not about your understanding. It's not about your authority. It's not about your position. It's about coming down, sitting face to face, and talking about the emotions. What are you feeling right now? And then once you can bring the emotion down, you can get to a place of agreement and understanding. Okay? All right. Any questions, any comments? I'm not going to do that second ad. Okay. I'm not hearing anybody pop through.
Delilah has her hand raised.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you repeat the statement you said? You said develop the cognition to go beyond the words. And did you say and recognize the emotion? Is that what you said?
I did.
Yeah, that stood out to me because I can just remember in past conversations, recent conversations, telling people or talking to people and saying that I can't read your mind. So, you know, if you're feeling a certain way, you need to tell me how you're feeling. So that really stood out to me, to remembering that it's sometimes you do have to go beyond those words, especially when working with kids, because like we were just discussing, they don't always have the words. So that really stood out to me. That shifted my thinking of how I originally was thinking about that.
Thank you so much, Delilah. for sharing. Yeah, we have to teach them, right? I read something that said, when you understand what you feel, your brain can understand who you are. Right? Because we're talking about the combination of logic and emotions, right? And how we take that information and process it in our brain. So if my brain can understand the emotion, then I can compartmentalize that to understand who I am. Absolutely. Anybody else?
May I comment?
Yes, you may.
Okay. So, you know how the video, for those who close the eyes, could just hear the music and the fluctuation of the voice and all of that environmental cues. So when we have this escalated situation, even the way we portray our body language, our voice inflection, if you sound agitated for the child, they'll perceive what you carry within your organism. You portray that by the way you approach the tone of voice, whether it's a soothing, is the environment too bright, is it the music, there is no background music, is there only agitation surrounding them? Most likely that's not going to help any person, even an adulthood, to de-escalate feelings, because unconsciously the background noise, and which is music, voice, can help people just get a little, like a rain, like it's a fire you put with the rain, cool rain. So we're trying to input the opposite of what's going on, which is like explosive dynamite fire. Then we have to do the opposite to calm that down. So those who heard the video and just close eye know how they had the cue, or what was the feeling by traveling with the music and environmental cues.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You spot on. So I want to be cognizant of time. We got about 13 minutes left. Uh-oh, Robin, you getting ready to say something?
I just wanted to add that when I taught in the classroom, I often gave my young scholars brain breaks, what we call brain breaks. And as it relates to what we've been discussing today and de-escalating, I think that sometimes our babies act out or have moments of anger in our classrooms or in our after school programs simply because they are tired. Sometimes it's just simply because they're tired and they are still developing a way of communicating what they're feeling. And I think that we have to give our baby some grace sometimes, because I know adults who, when they're tired or they haven't eaten, when they should have eaten, like it does something to us on a physiological level. And, as adults, we should be in a place where we can communicate, but how many of us know adults who maybe when they haven't eaten or have just extended themselves too much, they snap at other people? Well, our babies are still learning how to regulate their emotions and how to communicate what they're feeling or what they're experiencing in a moment. So I found that sometimes just giving them a moment to put their head down. I've even put on like nature sounds or classical music is another good genre. And I find that sometimes the very children who were on edge before we took a brain break, sometimes they will actually fall asleep. And depending on how much work we still had to get through in that day, I would actually let them rest for a while because I knew that's what they needed. And so I think that sometimes in de-escalating, in after school environments and even in school environments, it just requires giving our babies some space and time to rest their bodies as well as their minds.
Yeah. That's an excellent point. Yesterday we had in our circle time, it was, one of those random questions, and I forget what it was. But like, oh, no, it was, what do you like to do after school? And I made a joke with them. I'm like, oh, not a single one of you said loop. And they were like, no, that's not what we meant. Oh, no, we thought after a loop. And I'm like, okay, no, it's fine. But yeah, it's interesting because those kids, you know, they go nuts after school. And you know, it's hard to rein them in, but that's our job. So
Absolutely.
And they actually end up being pretty great. So
they actually end up being pretty great. I like that. They do.
They do. They do.
They do. Thank you all so very much for your patience and your grace on today. I thank you for you guys have been sharing and talking and giving yourselves your vulnerabilities, your thoughts. Rita, I see your hand up. I just want to make for sure that I'm cognizant of the time. I don't want anyone to have to stay. I know we ran over and we didn't get through the whole thing, but you should see on your screen a QR code. If you don't mind, and Sonia, please chime in to invite them to scan the QR code and to complete the survey at the completion of this time together. But please feel free to continue to share your thoughts as we are ending.
Hello?
Yes, Nancy?
I didn't get the QR code and my screen just went blank. So is there any way that you guys can email it to me and I can fill it out?
Yes.
Is it on my screen?
Email.
It's not on my phone. I'm just letting you guys know. I don't know if my phone has what's going on with it, but it's been acting up, so I have nothing on mine.
There's also
Understood.
a link that I'm putting in the chat box that you can also access the survey through that link if that would be helpful. But to answer
I can't get into seeing you guys. I'm
I see.
on a gray screen.
Oh, understood. So we will definitely send these out in a follow-up email along with the link to our YouTube channel. This recording will be on that channel.
Okay. Well, I saw everything that that you guys was hearing, everything that you guys were saying and stuff. It's just now all of a sudden it just went to a gray screen.
Understood.
Lovely
Thank you,
technology.
Yes, definitely. It's been an issue pretty much all day. But thank
Oh,
you
wait,
for
I got
navigating
it
with
just
us.
came back on. So, okay, we're good.
Oh, perfect. Awesome.
Sorry about that, guys.
That's quite all right. Thank you so much, Shakara, for coming into this space with us and bringing your expertise, bringing your knowledge and your lived experiences to everyone here and for those that shared their living experiences that just made this such a wealthy conversation and training. We thank you so very much. We do ask that you take our survey that helps us to drive our future trainings. There is a intentional question on that survey that Larry added that is asking, what future trainings would you love to see MASP host in the future? This survey data will be so hugely important, and we thank you for giving us your time on this lovely Friday. It is sunny outside, so go and enjoy your day and your weekend. Please click on the link if you're able to take the survey, and Shakara is sharing the actual QR code that you can scan with your phone that will take you to that survey. If you're having challenges getting to that, let us know now so we can fix any errors that there may be. And these slides and information in the YouTube and the recording would be on our YouTube channel. Everything would be embedded into that video as far as you guys being able to click on the link to all the resources along with this slide of the QR codes and surveys, because this does give you the My Registry credit. Thank you all so much. If you don't have any further questions for Shakara, we will bid you a goodbye and a huge thank you for being in this space with us on today. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Great job, Shakara. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you,
You are
Shakira.
so welcome. You are
Thank
so
you,
welcome.
thank you. Good job. Thank you.
You are so welcome.
Love your style. Thank you very much.